What's up, coders? I'm Kaylani, and I'm your host for Code Along with Black Girls Code. In today's episode, we'll be coding a sports game in Scratch. What's your favorite sport? I love soccer. I'm feeling super inspired to make a fun soccer project in Scratch. We're going to pretend that it's the end of a very intense game, and the score is all tied up. The player needs to score as many penalty kicks as possible to win the game. Ready to get started? Let's go! Before we get started, make sure to like this video and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's go to scratch.mit.edu and log in. If you're new to Code Along in Scratch, make sure to check out this video to learn how to make an account. It's also a great episode to review if you need some help learning the basics in Scratch. Now, I'm going to create a new project. You can do this by clicking on File, then New. For our project today, we're going to be using loops and conditionals. Loops will allow us to run a specific chunk of code for a certain amount of time, say forever in a project or while a certain condition is true. Conditional statements allow the code to make a choice when a certain condition is true in the project, like making something happen if a sprite is positioned in a certain spot or if it's touching another sprite. Have you played soccer before? If you have, then you know that a penalty kick occurs at the end of a game if the score is tied. The player kicks the ball from the top of the box and the goalie blocks the ball from going into the net. The goalie needs to try and guess where the player is going to shoot the ball. Sometimes they get it right, and sometimes they get it wrong. We'll have to add some randomness into our project to show that. Let's start off by selecting a soccer-themed background. Click on the backdrop icon and type soccer into the search bar. I'm going to select the first background since our project will focus on scoring goals rather than showing the overall gameplay. Remember, you can always customize a pre-created gallery image in the Backdrops tab. You might want to change the color or reposition certain sections in the image. Next, let's add sprite images to the project. Go ahead and delete the Scratch Cat. Sorry, Scratch Cat. Then click the cat icon to add a soccer ball sprite and a goalie sprite to the project. You can find both images under the Sports tab in the gallery. Remember, these images can also be customized by color, size, or position in the Costumes tab. Now let's get to coding. First, we want to initialize our sprites by setting their size and position so that both sprites appear in the same place and the same size every time the project starts. To do this, head over to the Events tab and drag out a when green flag clicked block into the soccer ball sprite code editor. I want to place a soccer ball at the top of the penalty box to show what would happen in real life. Then, go to the Motion tab and place a Go to X, Y block underneath when green flag clicked. Notice the block already has the sprite's current X and Y coordinates in the parameter bubbles. I'm going to add Set Size and Change Size By blocks to initialize the sprite. I'm going to change the size of the ball sprite by -10 so that the sprite appears smaller on the screen. This will make it more proportional to the rest of the background. Let's repeat this process for the goalie sprite too. Be sure to update the goalie's position so that it appears on the goal line in front of the net. I'm going to change the size of the goalie sprite by -40, making it even smaller. This way the goalie takes up some of, but not the entire goal. When a player goes to take a penalty kick, they have to choose where they want to aim the ball in the net. Let's simulate this by allowing the user to move the ball left and right before they take their shot. In the soccer ball editor, drag out 3 when key press blocks from the Events tab. Then update the key in each block to make something happen when the left arrow, right arrow, and space keys are pressed. When the left and right arrow keys are pressed, I want to update the soccer ball's X position. Let's drag a Change X By block underneath each block to do this. When the right arrow key is pressed, the X position should be changed by 15. When the left arrow key is pressed, the X position should be changed by -15. When the space key is pressed, that's when the player has kicked the ball. I want to update the soccer ball's Y position to make it appear like it's sailing into the net. Let's drag a Change Y By block underneath when space key pressed. Then change the parameter value to 150. This will move the ball up the screen so that it appears that it's soaring through the net. Let's test this out to make sure the movement functions are working properly. Let's make sure the ball doesn't move beyond the width of the goal. From the Control tab, drag an if conditional around the Change X By block underneath when right arrow key pressed. Then open the operator's menu and place a value greater than 50 block inside the if condition. From the motion tab, scroll to the bottom and drag an X position bubble into the left side of the operator block and update the right side to 80. The far right post of the goal has an X position of 80, while the far left post has an X position of -80. This code will only let the user move up to, but not beyond the left and right goal posts. Let's repeat this with the left arrow key code. Drag another conditional around the change X by block underneath when left arrow key pressed. This time, drag a value less than 50 block inside the if condition. Drag an X position bubble into the left side of the operator block, then update the right side to -80. Awesome! Now that the soccer ball has been kicked, let's code the goalie to react. First, from the Events tab, drag a broadcast block underneath when space key pressed in the soccer ball's code. Create a new message called kick. This will send a secret message to the goalie that the player has kicked the ball. Then open the goalie sprites code. From Events, drag out a when I receive block and select kick from the dropdown. From Motion, drag a glide 1 second to random position block and a go to XY block underneath the when I receive kick block. We want the goalie to glide towards the soccer ball at a random speed, then reset its position. Select the soccer ball sprite from the dropdown. We need to open operators and drag a pick random bubble into the parameter value of the glide block. This will set how quickly the goalie moves towards the soccer ball, adding randomness into how often the goal is scored or saved. The go to XY block should be set to the goalie sprite's starting coordinates so that its position is reset for the next kick. I want the goalie to move randomly within a 3-second window, so 0 to 3. Let's try to kick some shots and make some goals. Let's add a variable to keep track of how many goals the user scores. Open the backdrop code and drag a when green flag clicked block into the editor. Then open the Variables tab and select Make a Variable and create a variable called Goals. Drag a Set Goals To block underneath the when green flag clicked block. Keep the variable set to 0 and notice how it appears on the screen right away. You can play around with the placement of the goals variable on the screen too. Let's set what happens when the user kicks the ball, whether it's saved by the goalie or a goal is scored. Return to the soccer ball sprite, then drag a forever loop from the control tab under the when space key press block. Drag an if-else conditional inside the forever loop. From the sensing tab, drag a touching mouse point block inside the if condition. Then select the goalie sprite from the dropdown. This will make something happen if the goalie has saved the ball. From the Events tab, drag a broadcast block inside the if condition opening and create a new message called no goal. From the Control tab, add a wait 1 second block. Then duplicate the soccer ball sprite's go to XY block to reset its position. From the Control tab, drag a Stop All block underneath, then select this script from the dropdown. This will send a secret message that the shot was saved, then pause briefly before returning the soccer ball back to the top of the penalty box. The Stop block will allow the ball's movement to work again. Duplicate the broadcast, wait, go to XY, and stop blocks, then drag them into the else opening. Create a new message in the broadcast block called goal. This will send a secret message that the goal has been scored if the ball did not overlap with the goalie. Let's recap. If the ball touches the goalie, then broadcast a no goal message. After 1 second, reset the ball to its original coordinates. If the ball doesn't touch the goalie, broadcast a goal message. After 1 second, reset the ball to its original coordinates. This entire sequence is then repeated or looped forever. Let's add a referee sprite to the project who will announce whether the kick was a goal or saved by the goalie. Click the cat icon, then select the Sports tab in the gallery to add a referee image to the project. Position the referee off to the side so that they're not blocking the net. In the editor, initialize the referee's position with when green flag clicked and go to XY blocks. Remember those broadcast blocks we added to the goalie sprite to send a secret message when the goalie sprite is touching the soccer ball or not? Let's use when I receive blocks to make something happen to the referee sprite when the secret messages are received. Select the goal and no goal messages in each block. Then add a say for 2 seconds block underneath each event block to update the message to announce whether the goal was scored or saved. Finally, let's make sure the score updates when a goal is scored. From the Variables tab, drag a Change Goals By block underneath the When I Receive Goal block. Let's add a timer to the project to challenge the user. Return to the backdrop code, then make a new variable called timer. Drag a Set Timer To block underneath When Green Flag Clicked. To program our timer, we want the variable to decrease by 1 each second, then stop once it reaches 0. Let's drag a forever loop underneath the Set Timer To block. From Control, drag a Repeat Until loop inside the forever loop. The Repeat Until loop will run a chunk of code until a certain condition is true. Open Operators and drag a value equals 50 block inside the Repeat Until condition. From Variables, drag a timer bubble into the left value of this operator block. This will cause the loop to run until the timer is equal to 0. Then update the value to the amount of time you want the user to play for. I think 30 seconds is a good amount of time. From Control, drag a Wait 1 second block inside the Repeat Until loop. Then drag a Change Timer By block underneath. Set the value to -1 so that the timer variable decreases by 1 as each second passes. Press the green flag to test the code and see how the timer updates. What should happen once the timer runs out? From Control, drag an if conditional inside the forever loop underneath the Repeat Until loop. Duplicate the timer equals 0 block and place it inside the if condition. Let's use another broadcast block to send a secret message to the referee sprite to end the game once the timer reaches 0. Create a new message called Endgame. What if the referee announces the end of the game? Click on the referee sprite, then drag a When I Receive block into the editor. Open the Sound tab, then drag a Play Sound Referee Whistle Until Done block underneath When I Receive Endgame. Let's announce how many goals the player scored. From Looks, drag a Say for 2 seconds block underneath Play Sound Until Done. From Operators, drag 2 join blocks into the text bubble in the Say block. Let's combine text with the goals variable bubble to tell the user how many goals they've earned. Finally, let's add a stop all from Control to end the project once the score has been announced. When the referee sprite receives the endgame secret message, it says that I earned 1 goal. Then the project stops running so I can try to play again. Make sure to test the project all the way through to make sure that everything is updating properly. Before we wrap up, let's do a quick review of everything we've learned. We started by learning how to use event blocks to make things happen in our projects, like moving a sprite when a button is pressed. Then we dove into motion blocks to set and update where our sprites are on the stage. It's like giving them directions to move around. Next, we explored control blocks to make different things happen when certain conditions are true and to sequence events perfectly. We also checked out sensing blocks to make our sprites interact, like checking if one sprite is touching another. And finally, we talked about variable blocks, the super useful tool for storing and updating data in our projects. To save the project, click File in the top left corner, then select Save Now. Once your project is saved, let's share it with the Scratch community. If you haven't done so already, be sure to give your project a descriptive title, then click the Share button to the right of the title. Once we've saved and shared our project, let's view the project page to add the instructions, notes, and credit sections. In the instructions section, I'll add directions to tell the user how to play this interactive game. In the credits section, I want to thank anyone who helped me create this project and give credit to any sources I used. Check out the link below to view the code for today's project. Remix it and have fun making it yours. See you next time, coders. It was awesome to have you back in the code zone. Bye!